Hey everyone, I'm Amelia Carter, 24 years old, and just last month, my life turned into a total roller coaster. Picture this. My Aunt Margaret, a fashion legend in New York City, left me her $200 million empire, Ellington Designs. It's the kind of place where every runway show makes headlines. I was over the moon, thinking I'd carry on her legacy. But then, my own cousin Lauren and her slimy boyfriend Ethan turned my dream into a nightmare. They didn't just want a piece of the pie, they wanted to torch the whole thing. If you're shocked as I was, smash that subscribe button and let me know where you're watching from. Trust me, this story of family betrayal, corporate sabotage, and sweet revenge is worth every second. Here's how it started. Growing up in New York, I was always Aunt Margaret's shadow. She built Ellington Designs from a tiny studio into a global brand, all while teaching me the ropes, how to sketch a gown, negotiate a deal, and stand tall in a cutthroat industry. She'd say, "Amelia, style is integrity." Meanwhile, Lauren, my cousin, was always lurking, green with envy because Margaret saw me as her heir. When Aunt Margaret passed away from cancer, I was devastated. But at her memorial, her lawyer dropped a bombshell. I inherited 75% of the company. I was now CEO. Lauren's face? Pure rage. Ethan, her shady ex-marketer boyfriend from our rival Vogue trend, was already scheming. I could feel their eyes burning holes through me. What they did next was beyond evil, but stick around. You won't believe how I fought back. So, there I was, Amelia Carter, 24 years old, still reeling from the bombshell that I'd inherited my Aunt Margaret's $200 million fashion empire, Ellington Designs. The sting of my cousin Lauren's rage and her boyfriend Ethan's scheming glare at the memorial was just the beginning. I knew trouble was brewing, but I had no idea how vicious it would get. Let's dive into the world I grew up in to understand why this betrayal cuts so deep and why I was ready to fight for what was mine. I was raised in the heart of New York City, where the fashion world pulses like a living thing. My parents split when I was 6, and Aunt Margaret became my rock. She wasn't just family, she was a legend, building Ellington Designs from a cramped Brooklyn studio into a global icon of sustainable fashion. Her showroom in Manhattan was a temple of elegance, and I was her apprentice. By 10, I was sketching designs in her office. By 16, I was helping with marketing campaigns. She'd grin and say, "Amelia, you've got my fire and your mom's heart, unstoppable." Those words stuck with me, especially when things got tough. Lauren, my cousin, was the opposite. 2 years younger, she grew up in the same glittering world but always craved the spotlight without the work. Margaret tried to mentor her, but Lauren wanted the crown, not the craft. She'd roll her eyes when I got praise, muttering about favoritism. I brushed it off, thinking family was family. But deep down, I saw the jealousy festering, especially when Margaret started grooming me to take over. Ellington Designs wasn't just a business, it was Margaret's soul, built on integrity and innovation. She trusted me to carry that forward. When Margaret got sick, I spent every spare moment by her side, learning her final lessons. Her death hit like a freight train, but inheriting the company gave me purpose. Lauren's betrayal, though, that was a knife in the back. What she and Ethan did next nearly destroyed everything, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Keep watching, this gets wild. Alright, let's pick up where we left off. I'm Amelia Carter, 24 years old, still processing that my Aunt Margaret left me her $200 million fashion empire, Ellington Designs, right in the heart of New York City. The memorial where I learned I'd be CEO was a whirlwind. Lauren's furious glare and her boyfriend Ethan's scheming vibe set off alarm bells. Growing up under Margaret's wing, I knew the fashion world was tough, but I never expected my own cousin to turn into my worst enemy. Lauren's jealousy was no secret, but what she and Ethan were plotting was straight up sinister. Let's meet the villains who tried to tear me down. Lauren Hayes, my cousin, was 2 years younger but always acted like she deserved the throne. She had this charm that could light up a room, but it hid a bitter edge. Growing up, she'd tag along to Ellington Designs' showroom, more interested in selfies than sketches. Margaret tried to teach her, but Lauren wanted the glory without the grind. I'd catch her sneering when Margaret praised my work, muttering about how I was the favorite. I thought it was just sibling rivalry stuff, until it wasn't. Her jealousy wasn't just personal, it was a ticking time bomb aimed at the company. Then there's Ethan Caldwell, Lauren's boyfriend, and let me tell you, this guy was bad news from day one. 30 years old, slick as a used car salesman, he was a former marketing director at Vogue Trend, our biggest rival. Ethan didn't just walk into our lives, he slithered. At family dinners, he'd pepper me with questions about Ellington's upcoming collections, acting casual, but with this predatory glint in his eyes. Margaret warned me once, "Amelia, that man's not here for love, he's here for leverage." She was right. Ethan started showing up at our Manhattan office uninvited, charming staff, asking for confidential reports like he owned the place. One designer told me he tried to get access to our spring line sketches. Sketchy, right? Together, Lauren and Ethan were a perfect storm. Lauren had the family connection to worm her way in, and Ethan had the industry know-how to twist the knife. When I got the company, their masks came off. They weren't just mad, they were out for blood. What they did next wasn't just a betrayal, it was a full-on attack to burn Ellington Designs to the ground. I was in over my head, but Aunt Margaret taught me to fight smart. Keep watching because this story is about to get insane. So, here I am, Amelia Carter, 24 years old, still reeling from the shock of inheriting my Aunt Margaret's $200 million fashion empire, Ellington Designs, in the heart of New York City. The memorial where I was named CEO was a gut punch. Lauren's venomous glare and Ethan's predatory smirk made it clear they weren't just jealous. They were dangerous. Growing up in Margaret's world, I knew Lauren's envy was trouble, but I never imagined my own cousin would team up with her shady boyfriend to try to destroy everything. With Ethan's slick moves from his Vogue Trend days creeping into our company, the stage was set for a betrayal that would rock my world. Let's dive into the moment it all exploded. Aunt Margaret's passing left a void nothing could fill. Her memorial was held at our flagship showroom in Manhattan, all glass walls and glittering chandeliers, packed with fashion icons, family, and Ellington's loyal team. I stood there, heart heavy, trying to honor her legacy. Then her lawyer, David Rosenberg, called for silence. He read her will, and my jaw dropped. Margaret left me 75% of Ellington Designs, with 20% held in trust for me and 5% public shares. I was now the majority owner and CEO. At 24, the room erupted. Some clapped, others gasped, but Lauren's face was a storm cloud. Her eyes locked on mine, burning with a rage I'd never seen. Ethan, standing beside her, didn't even pretend to smile. His clenched jaw screamed trouble. I felt like I'd been handed a crown and a target at the same time. As the crowd toasted Margaret's memory, Lauren pulled me aside, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Congrats, Amelia, but are you sure you're ready for this? It's a big job." Before I could respond, Ethan chimed in, all smooth and condescending. "Running a $200 million company takes experience, kid. Maybe Lauren should help steer the ship." Help? More like hijack. I brushed them off, saying, "Margaret trusted me. I'll honor that." But their smiles were knives, and I knew they weren't done. That night, I couldn't sleep. Margaret's words echoed. Style is integrity. She'd spent decades building Ellington Designs into a beacon of sustainable fashion, and now it was mine to protect. But Lauren and Ethan's behavior at the memorial wasn't just petty, it was a warning. I called Claire Thompson, our COO and Margaret's right hand, who'd watched me grow up in the studio. "Amelia," she said, "Margaret chose you because you've got her vision and grit. But Lauren's always wanted the spotlight, and Ethan's a vulture. Watch your back." Claire's words hit hard. I realized this wasn't just about family drama, it was a battle for control of a fashion empire. What Lauren and Ethan did next wasn't just cruel, it was a calculated strike to rip everything away. I was about to face the fight of my life, and the fashion world was watching. Stick around, because this betrayal gets uglier and my comeback? It's epic. All right, let's dive back into the chaos. The memorial where I learned I'd inherited Aunt Margaret's $200 million fashion empire Ellington Designs, was a turning point. That moment in our Manhattan showroom, with Lauren's seething rage and Ethan's calculated smirk, set the stage for a betrayal I never saw coming. Growing up in New York's cutthroat fashion scene, I knew Lauren's jealousy was a problem, but teaming up with Ethan, a former Vogue trend shark, took it to another level. Their audacity at the memorial, Lauren's fake concern, Ethan's smug suggestion to help run the company, was just the prelude. Now, with the weight of Margaret's legacy on my shoulders, I was about to face a storm that would test everything I'd learned. Buckle up, because what Lauren and Ethan did next nearly destroyed me. The days after the memorial were a blur. I moved into Margaret's old office at Ellington Designs, surrounded by her sketches and awards, trying to wrap my head around being CEO. But Lauren and Ethan weren't wasting time. It started with whispers. I'd walk into meetings, and designers would go quiet, avoiding my eyes. Then Claire Thompson, our COO and my biggest ally, pulled me aside. "Amelia, there's a rumor going around that you're selling out to Vogue Trend," she said, her face grim. "It's nonsense, but it's spreading fast." My stomach dropped. Selling out? Margaret built Ellington on sustainable fashion, not corporate greed. I'd never betray that. But the rumor was gaining traction, and I knew exactly who was behind it. Then the bomb hit. One morning, I opened my laptop to find a viral video plastered across every fashion blog in New York. It showed grainy footage of someone who looked like me handing over Ellington's spring collection sketches to a Vogue trend exec. The caption screamed, "Ellington Designs CEO caught stealing rival designs." My phone exploded with calls, reporters, investors, even my old college friends. The comments online were brutal. "Fraud. She's tanking Margaret's legacy." I was shaking, staring at the screen. That wasn't me in the video. It was a fake, but it was convincing. And the timing? Just weeks before our biggest show at New York Fashion Week, I stormed to Claire's office, heart pounding. "This is Lauren and Ethan," I said, slamming my laptop shut. Claire nodded, her jaw tight. "Ethan's got the skills to pull this off. He knows media manipulation from his Vogue Trend days." But it got worse. That afternoon, Vogue Trend slapped us with a lawsuit, claiming I'd stolen their designs and demanding $50 million in damages. Investors started pulling back, and our stock price, tied to that 5% public share, tanked. Then Lauren made her move. She called an emergency board meeting, claiming I was unfit to lead. I walked into that meeting to find her schmoozing with shareholders, Ethan by her side, pitching himself as interim CEO. "Amelia's young, overwhelmed," Lauren said, all fake sympathy. "Let Ethan stabilize things." I was livid. "This is my company," I shot back. "Margaret chose me." But Lauren's smile was ice cold. "Did she? Or are you just riding her coattails until you crash?" Ethan piled on. "The board's losing faith, Amelia. Step aside before you ruin everything." I looked around. Some board members, ones Margaret had trusted, looked torn, but newer ones were nodding at Lauren. Then came the gut punch. Lauren produced an email, supposedly from me, admitting I'd borrowed Vogue Trend's designs. It was forged, but the damage was done. By the end of the day, my access to Ellington systems was restricted, and security escorted me out of my own office. Me, the CEO. I went home to my tiny Brooklyn apartment, tears streaming down my face. The fashion world was tearing me apart. Social media was a war zone. Hashtags like #AmeliaFraud trended, and Lauren even posted a cryptic tweet. "Families should know their place." I felt like I was drowning. Margaret had taught me to fight, but this was a coordinated attack. Ethan's media tricks, Lauren's boardroom power grab, and that fake video were suffocating me. I called Claire, my voice breaking. "They're winning," I admitted. She didn't sugarcoat it. "They're good, Amelia, but you're better. Margaret didn't choose you for nothing. Fight back." That night, I sat on my fire escape, staring at the New York skyline, thinking about Margaret. She'd faced her own battles, sexism, skeptics, even a hostile takeover attempt in the 90s. She never backed down. I wasn't about to either, but I needed a plan. Lauren and Ethan thought they'd cornered me, but they didn't know I'd grown up watching Margaret outsmart vultures just like them. I started digging. I called every contact I had, designers, interns, even the IT guy who'd always liked me. One junior marketer, nervous as hell, admitted Ethan had asked her to edit some footage weeks ago. Bingo! That was my first thread to pull. Then the real blow landed. Claire texted me late one night. "Check your email now." Attached was a leaked document from Vogue Trend servers, uncovered by an IT friend. It showed Ethan had pitched them a deal months before Margaret's death. Hand over Ellington's Designs, tank our reputation, and let Vogue Trend buy us out for pennies. Lauren was in on it, promised a cushy role in the merged company. My blood boiled. This wasn't just betrayal, it was corporate espionage. They weren't just trying to steal my company. They were trying to erase Margaret's legacy. I was down, but not out. Margaret's voice echoed in my head. Style is integrity. Lauren and Ethan thought they could break me with lies, but they'd underestimated me. I had Claire, a few loyal staff, and a fire in my gut. What they did next pushed me to the edge, but what I did in response. That's where this story gets crazy. Keep watching, because the fashion world was about to see a comeback nobody expected. The betrayal was suffocating. Lauren and Ethan had turned my world upside down, framing me with a fake video that branded me a thief across New York's fashion scene. That viral smear, the $50 million lawsuit from Vogue Trend, and Lauren's boardroom coup had me locked out of Ellington Designs, my Aunt Margaret's $200 million empire. The sting of my cousin's tweet, "Family should know their place," and Ethan's forged email had me reeling. But sitting on my Brooklyn fire escape, staring at the city lights, I felt Margaret's fire in me. Claire's words, "You're better," lit a spark. Then, just when I thought I was done, a game changer landed that flipped the script. Late one night, after digging through every lead, I got a package from David Rosenberg, Margaret's lawyer. Inside was a sealed envelope with her handwriting. For Amelia, when the vultures circle. My hands shook as I opened it. It was a letter, dated a month before her death, and a hidden clause in her will. Margaret wrote, "I know Lauren's heart, and I fear her envy. If she turns on you, trust Claire and this." The clause was a bombshell. For the first year, any major decision at Ellington Designs, sales, mergers, even firing me, needed approval from both me and Claire Thompson, our COO. Margaret had seen this coming. She'd built a firewall to protect her legacy. I called Claire, barely breathing. "Did you know?" I asked. She sighed. Margaret made me swear to wait for the right moment. She knew Lauren and Ethan were trouble. Claire had been quietly watching, documenting Ethan's shady moves. That clause meant Lauren's boardroom stunt was toothless. Ethan couldn't take over, and their Vogue Trend deal was dead without my signature. My heart raced. I wasn't just back in the game. I had a weapon. Margaret's foresight was my lifeline. Lauren and Ethan thought they'd outsmarted me, but they didn't know I held the keys. With Claire by my side, I was ready to turn their lies against them. What happened next was a fight for the ages, and Fashion Week was about to be my battleground. Stay tuned. This is where it gets wild. With Aunt Margaret's secret clause in my hands, I felt a surge of hope. Lauren and Ethan's betrayal, framing me with a fake video, slapping Ellington Designs with a $50 million lawsuit, and nearly stealing my $200 million fashion empire, had pushed me to the edge. But that hidden will, requiring Claire and me to approve any major move, was my lifeline. Sitting in my Brooklyn apartment, the New York skyline glowing outside, I knew Margaret had given me a fighting chance. Lauren and Ethan thought they'd won, but I was about to unravel their sinister plan. Claire and I went to work, digging deeper than ever. Late one night, our IT guy, a loyal friend from Margaret's early days, slipped us a bombshell. Ethan's encrypted emails, hacked from his personal account. My jaw dropped as I read them. Ethan wasn't just leaking our spring collection to Vogue Trend. He was orchestrating a sabotage of our New York Fashion Week show, the biggest event of our year. He'd bribed a supplier to deliver faulty fabrics, ensuring our runway would be a disaster. Lauren was in on it, coordinating with Vogue Trend to swoop in and buy our crash stock for pennies. Their plan? tank Ellington Designs' reputation, and force a fire sale. I felt sick. Fashion Week was 10 days away, and this wasn't just about money. It was about obliterating Margaret's legacy. Claire's eyes blazed. "They're not just vultures. They're arsonists," she said. I nodded, my anger hardening into resolve. We couldn't just defend ourselves. We had to strike back. I proposed a trap. We'd let Ethan think his sabotage was working. Claire would leak fake runway plans to a supplier we knew he'd bribed, baiting him into overplaying his hand. Meanwhile, we'd secure backup fabrics and keep our real collection under lock and key. This was war. Lauren and Ethan thought they could bury me, but they'd underestimated Margaret's foresight and my grit. With Fashion Week looming, I was ready to turn their scheme into their downfall. The runway was about to become my battlefield, and what happened next would shock the fashion world. Keep watching, this is where it gets insane. The discovery of Lauren and Ethan's plan to sabotage our New York Fashion Week show was a gut punch. Their fake video, the $50 million Vogue Trend lawsuit, and their attempt to steal my $200 million Ellington Designs empire had me on the ropes. But Aunt Margaret's hidden clause, requiring Claire and me to approve major moves, gave me a fighting chance. Those hacked emails, exposing Ethan's plot to ruin our runway with faulty fabrics, lit a fire in me. Sitting in our Manhattan office, Claire and I crafted a trap to let Ethan think he'd won. With Fashion Week 5 days away, we were ready to flip the script. Now it was time to execute. Claire and I worked around the clock. We fed Ethan's bribed supplier fake plans, claiming our runway would feature a bold red collection. Meanwhile, our real designs, sleek, sustainable silks in emerald and sapphire, were locked in a secret studio. I called David Rosenberg, Margaret's lawyer, to tighten our legal defenses. David dug into Ethan's past and found gold, a buried lawsuit from his Vogue Trend days for falsifying campaign data. "This guy's a repeat offender," David said. "We'll nail him." I also rallied our loyal designers, swearing them to secrecy. They'd seen me grow up in Margaret's studio and trusted me to fight for her legacy. To seal the trap, I needed Lauren to overstep. I accidentally emailed her a panicked note about supply chain issues, knowing she'd gloat to Ethan. Sure enough, Claire's IT friend caught Ethan bragging to Vogue Trend execs about our imminent flop. Their arrogance was our weapon. We also prepped a backup plan. If anything went wrong, Claire had a second runway crew on standby. Every night, I barely slept, haunted by Margaret's words. "Style is integrity." I wasn't just saving a company. I was honoring her. As Fashion Week loomed, tension was sky-high. Lauren started cozying up to board members, hinting I was crumbling under pressure. Ethan, meanwhile, was spotted schmoozing with Vogue Trend at a pre-show gala, acting like he already owned us. I kept my cool, but inside, I was raging. They thought I was a naive kid they could bully out of my own empire. But with Claire's claws, David's evidence, and our secret runway, I was building a counterattack they'd never see coming. The stage was set. Fashion Week show would be more than a runway. It'd be a reckoning. Lauren and Ethan thought they'd bury me, but they were about to walk into a trap. What happened next would turn the fashion world upside down. Stick around. This gets wilder. With Fashion Week just 2 days away, the pressure was crushing. Lauren and Ethan's betrayal had nearly destroyed me. Fake video evidence, a $50 million lawsuit from Vogue Trend, and their plot to hijack my Aunt Margaret's $200 million Ellington Designs empire. Margaret's secret clause, locking major decisions to Claire and me, was my lifeline. Uncovering Ethan's scheme to sabotage our runway with faulty fabrics fueled our counterattack. We'd baited them with fake plans, secured our real emerald and sapphire collection, and dug up Ethan's fraud history. Now, I was ready to strike publicly, turning their lies into a spectacle they couldn't escape. I decided to go big. From our Manhattan showroom, I launched a surprise livestream on Instagram and TikTok, inviting fashion bloggers, fans, and even the press. "Ellington Designs has a story to tell," I said, heart-pounding as thousands tuned in. I laid it out. Ethan's emails to Vogue Trend, plotting to ruin our Fashion Week show. I showed screenshots of his deal to tank our stock for a $50 million buyout, with Lauren's name all over it. The chat exploded. Hashtag Ellington Exposed was trending in minutes. This isn't just business, I said, voice steady. It's as personal. They tried to steal my aunt's legacy. Fans flooded the comments with support. Even rival designers chimed in. Lauren crashed the stream, her face popping up in the comments. "You're lying to save yourself," she typed, desperate. But I was ready. I dropped a bombshell. Ethan's old Vogue Trend lawsuit for fraud, complete with court docs. The audience went wild, spamming hashtag Lauren lied. A Vogue reporter asked, "What about the lawsuit against you?" I smiled. "It's based on a fake video. We've got proof." Lauren tried to deflect, but the internet tore her apart. Memes of her crying crocodile tears went viral. The live stream changed everything. The fashion world was buzzing, and Vogue Trend stock dipped as their shady ties to Ethan leaked. Lauren and Ethan were scrambling, but I wasn't done. Fashion Week was my next move, and it would be more than a show. It'd be a knockout punch. Their sabotage was unraveling, and my comeback was just starting. Keep watching. This gets explosive. The live stream was a game changer, shaking the fashion world to its core. Exposing Lauren and Ethan's plot to sabotage our New York Fashion Week show, complete with Ethan's leaked emails to Vogue Trend and his shady fraud history, had millions buzzing online. The fake video framing me as a thief, the $50 million lawsuit, and their attempt to steal my Aunt Margaret's $200 million Ellington Designs empire had pushed me to the brink. But Margaret's secret clause, locking decisions to Claire and me, and our trap with fake runway plans had given me the upper hand. With hashtag Ellington Exposed trending and Lauren's desperate comments backfiring, the tide was turning. Now, Fashion Week and the shareholder meeting were my chance to end this war and reclaim my legacy. Fashion Week dawned bright and chaotic, the air electric in Manhattan's Bryant Park. Our show was the hottest ticket, fueled by the live stream drama. Backstage, I was a bundle of nerves, double-checking our emerald and sapphire collection. Claire squeezed my shoulder. "Margaret would be proud," she said. I nodded, picturing my aunt's fierce smile. Ethan's sabotaged fabrics, cheap, fraying fakes, were safely ditched, replaced by our stunning designs. As the lights dimmed and music pulsed, I watched from the wings. Models strutted in gowns that shimmered like liquid jewels, each piece a testament to Margaret's vision of sustainable elegance. The crowd roared, phones flashing, live streams capturing every second. Vogue's editor tweeted, "Ellington Designs just redefined Fashion Week." We'd done it. Our show was a triumph, proving I could lead. But the real battle was hours away. Right after the show, we held an emergency shareholder meeting in Ellington's Manhattan boardroom, all glass and skyline views. Lauren and Ethan walked in, smug despite the live stream fallout. Lauren wore a tight smile, Ethan a tailored suit that screamed overconfidence. The board, 12 members, some loyal to Margaret, others swayed by Lauren's lies, watched intently. David Rosenberg, our lawyer, sat beside me, a stack of evidence ready. I stood, heart pounding, and faced them. "Thank you for coming," I began. "Ellington Designs is under attack, not from me, but from Lauren Hayes and Ethan Caldwell." Gasps rippled. Lauren scoffed, but I pressed on. "You've seen the live stream, but here's the full truth." Claire projected Ethan's emails, detailing his plan to sabotage our runway and sell Ellington to Vogue Trend for $50 million. I showed the forged email Lauren used to frame me, debunked by our IT team's metadata analysis. Then came the kicker. David slid folders to each board member, revealing Ethan's buried lawsuit from Vogue Trend for falsifying data, plus new evidence of his bribes to our supplier. "This isn't just betrayal," I said, voice steady. "It's corporate espionage." Ethan jumped up, face red. "This is a smear campaign. You've got nothing." But Claire wasn't done. She played a recording, captured by our IT friend, of Ethan boasting to Vogue Trend execs about crushing Ellington. The boardroom went silent. Lauren's facade cracked. She stammered, "I didn't know the full plan." I stared at her, my cousin, who'd traded family for greed. "You signed those emails, Lauren. You wanted me gone." A board member, Margaret's old friend Helen spoke up. What about the Vogue trend lawsuit? David smiled. It's collapsing. Their evidence is that fake video, and we've traced its editing software to Ethan's laptop. Murmurs grew. I dropped the final bomb. Margaret's will clause, requiring Claire's and my approval for any major move. Lauren's interim CEO pitch. Illegal. Ethan's buyout deal? Dead. This company is mine. Ethan lunged forward, shouting, You can't prove any of this. But the doors opened, and two NYPD officers stepped in, badges gleaming. David had tipped them off. Ethan Caldwell. One said, You're under arrest for corporate espionage and fraud. Ethan's face drained of color as handcuffs clicked. He turned to Lauren, hissing, You said this was foolproof. She shrank back, tears welling, but the officers let him out, still yelling. Lauren stood, trembling. Amelia, I'm sorry, she whispered. I just wanted to prove myself. Her words stung. Part of me wanted to believe her, but she'd crossed a line. You didn't prove yourself, I said. You proved you're not family. The board president, Helen, called for order. Given the evidence, I moved to confirm Amelia Carter as CEO, effective immediately, with Claire Thompson as COO. The vote was unanimous, even Lauren's allies abandoning her. As the room cleared, Lauren approached, eyes red. Can we talk? She asked. I shook my head. Not now. You chose Ethan over Margaret's legacy. She nodded, defeated, and left. Claire hugged me. You did it, kid. I exhaled, the weight lifting. The fashion world was still buzzing from our show, and now, the boardroom victory was spreading. Vogue Trend dropped their lawsuit that afternoon, their stock plummeting as Ethan's arrest hit the news. Social media crowned me fashion's new queen, but I didn't care about the hype. I cared about Margaret. Backstage at Fashion Week, I'd felt her presence. Now, standing in the boardroom, I knew I'd honored her. Lauren and Ethan thought they could break me, but they'd forged me instead. The runway was ours, the company was safe, and I was just getting started. What happened next would cement Ellington Designs as untouchable, but that's a story for another time. Stay tuned, this isn't the end. The Fashion Week triumph and the shareholder meeting showdown were a 1-2 punch that saved Ellington Designs. Exposing Lauren and Ethan's sabotage, the fake video, the $50 million Vogue Trend lawsuit, their plot to tank my Aunt Margaret's $200 million empire, felt like a weight lifting off my chest. Margaret's secret clause, our trap with fake runway plans, and the live stream that turned the internet against them had led to Ethan's arrest and Lauren's defeat. Standing in that Manhattan boardroom, with the board unanimously backing me as CEO, I knew I'd honored Margaret's legacy. But the fight wasn't over. I had to rebuild, heal, and prove I could lead. The next steps would define me. The weeks after Fashion Week were a whirlwind. New York's fashion scene was still buzzing about our emerald and sapphire collection, with orders pouring in from Paris to Tokyo. I signed a game-changing deal with a major retailer, expanding Ellington's sustainable lines to 500 stores nationwide. It was a bold move, one Margaret would have loved, and it boosted our stock price past pre-scandal highs. Claire Thompson, my rock as COO, helped me navigate the chaos. We promoted loyal designers who'd stuck by me, like the junior marketer who'd tipped us off about Ethan's video edits. Their faith in me fueled my drive. But Lauren lingered like a shadow. Her tearful apology in the boardroom, I just wanted to prove myself, echoed in my mind. Part of me hated her for choosing greed over family, but another part remembered the cousin who'd once braided my hair at sleepovers. A month later, she texted, asking to meet. Against Claire's advice, I agreed, picking a quiet Brooklyn cafe. Lauren looked broken, her usual polish gone. I was wrong, she said, voice cracking. Ethan used me, but I let him. I'm sorry. I didn't forgive her, not yet, but I saw a flicker of the old Lauren. Prove it, I said. Not to me, to yourself. We agreed to weekly coffee meetups, a cautious step toward rebuilding. It wasn't easy, but Margaret always said family was worth fighting for, even when it hurt. Ethan, meanwhile, was history. His arrest made headlines, and prosecutors uncovered more fraud schemes tied to his Vogue Trend days. He faced 7 years in prison, his reputation shredded. Vogue Trends dropped lawsuit and public apology only strengthened Ellington's standing. I used the moment to launch a transparency campaign, sharing our sustainable sourcing on social media. Fans ate it up, and #EllingtonStrong trended for weeks. Back at the office, I stood in Margaret's old studio, sketching new designs. The victory was sweet, but the scars were real. Lauren's betrayal had taught me to trust my gut, and Ethan's downfall showed me the power of truth. I wasn't just a CEO, I was a guardian of Margaret's dream. The road ahead was tough, but I was ready. What came next would take Ellington to new heights, and I couldn't wait to share it. Keep watching. This story's far from over. The dust had settled after the Fashion Week triumph and the shareholder meeting that crushed Lauren and Ethan's betrayal. Their fake video, the $50 million Vogue Trend lawsuit, and their plot to hijack Aunt Margaret's $200 million Ellington Designs empire were behind me. Margaret's secret clause, our live stream exposing their schemes, and Ethan's arrest had secured my place as CEO. Rebuilding with Claire's support, signing that 500-store retail deal, and taking cautious steps to mend things with Lauren had me looking forward. Standing in our Manhattan studio, sketching new designs, I felt Margaret's presence. Now, it's time to wrap this wild ride and share what I learned, because this story is about more than fashion. Looking back, I see how close I came to losing everything. Lauren's jealousy and Ethan's greed weren't just personal attacks, they were assaults on Margaret's legacy of sustainable style. But every blow, those #Amelia fraud hashtags, the boardroom ambush, the locked office doors, forged me into someone stronger. I learned to trust my instincts, honed by years at Margaret's side. When I found that secret clause, I realized she'd trusted me to fight. Claire, David, and our loyal team proved that family isn't just blood, it's who stands by you when the stakes are high. That's my first lesson. Build a tribe you can count on, because no one wins alone. Second, turn betrayal into fuel. Lauren's backstabbing hurt, but it pushed me to outsmart her. The live stream that flipped the narrative? That was me channeling pain into power. When Ethan's handcuffs clicked, I saw how truth can topple lies. You'll face people who want to dim your light. Don't let them. Use their doubts to prove them wrong. Finally, stay true to your core. Margaret taught me that style is integrity, and I'm doubling down on Ellington's mission to make fashion sustainable. Our new line, launching next month, uses 100% eco-friendly materials, and I'm starting a foundation to mentor young designers from underserved communities. That's what keeps me going. This journey wasn't just about saving a company, it was about finding myself. I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes, like hesitating to confront Lauren sooner. But I'm learning, growing, and leading with Margaret's fire. To everyone watching, I want to hear your stories. Have you faced betrayal that made you stronger? Drop it in the comments. I read everyone. If this story hit home, smash that subscribe button and join me for more tales of resilience. Next up, I'm diving into a scandal that rocked another New York icon, and trust me, it's juicy. As I sketch in Margaret's studio, I feel her pride. Betrayal tried to break me, but it built me instead. You've got that strength too. Find it, use it, and never let anyone steal your shine. Thanks for riding this roller coaster with me. Let's keep pushing forward together.